Alright. I think that's going. I'll cut off the beginning, obviously.
good.
Hello, everyone. We join you from a top secret location.
This the heart of Cardiff.
It's a Carl's Jr. It's a Carl's Jr. where we're in St. David's. We've just seen Doctor Who, The Reality War, and I'm joined by Max, aka Atomize. You might have seen him in the chat. Deep breaths. Okay.
What did we watch?
I'm gonna come out and say it. I didn't like that episode.
No.
Let's be fair first. Was there anything we liked? Let's do positives first. I will say there were a couple of lines of dialogue.
There were a couple of lines of dialogue.
You know,
I quite liked the interactions between the Rani and the Doctor.
Yes, they were good.
They had weird coding, but also I thought that was quite fun.
That was a bit weird. The whole oh yeah, your human fetish. And I was like, what are we doing? What program is this, Russell? That's what we're doing. And then also
Also the thing about look at the next, that line combined with the white blonde woman line just before it was a bit odd.
Oh yeah.
Especially considering who he then regenerated into.
Oh yeah, I found that fairly funny. Just find a white blonde woman. You'll find the Doctor. I mean, it's kind of true. He's not, she's not wrong. I mean, the Rani had a couple of nice lines in there. Mrs. Flood had a couple of nice lines in there.
Mrs. Flood was fun the entire
Mrs. Flood was fun. I do like Mrs. Flood, and I do like... I'm glad that she... This is spoilers, by the way. This is full just spoilers. She does survive. We'll get into some of the specifics of that in a bit.
I'm also glad it wasn't as predictable as they were as it was looking to be. Like everyone was going, oh yeah, obviously she's going to betray her, and then that obviously doesn't happen.
Which doesn't happen, and also, I mean, I'm really glad they didn't do the thing that I was really fearful they were going to do with making Poppy...
Yeah, Poppy Susan.
The mother of Susan, but on that, quickly, while we brought Susan up,
Where was she?
Where was she? No, because the entire episode, he's going, I finally got a family. I've got a daughter because, Poppy exists. And the entire time you're just sort of going, right, so this is building up to you finally reuniting with Susan and tying that loose end, right? Right?
It's got to have been reshoots.
And then it just doesn't... Well, yeah, this is the thing. This is what we're going to get on to. I think this episode heavily reshot. Yeah. Obviously, especially with what happened in the ending, which... There's a whole thing. I might have to do a whole separate video on why I don't like that ending in and of itself. Is there any other positives?
Omega turned up.
He was there. I don't know whether I would call his presence a positive. I will say some of the action scenes with the bone beasts are fairly cool.
Yeah. I kind of liked the effect of the realities fighting them.
Yes, Anita as well, actually.
Anita's fun.
I think Anita was good.
That was a good inclusion.
I liked that. I was like, that's why Moffat saw the finale ahead of time. Obviously she comes back.
That was much better than the Missy theories.
Yeah, and I prefer that, and I think it ties into this era. I mean, this basically was them trying to do Stolen Earth Journey's End, but on speed.
Because 2 series?
Yeah, because there'd only be half of the number of episodes. Less than that, a third.
If they tried to do Stolen Earth and Journey's End by gridlock.
Yeah, it's it's mad. Or if Smith's era ended in Good Man Goes to War. Yeah. It's just mad, and obviously, I'm trying to make sure I cover everything. Okay, I think that's all the positives. Is
that on the limited list?
I mean, I quite like...
Water Twin Land and Sea looks good.
Yeah, it looks alright. I think by then, my brain was just too fried, to be honest. You'll have separate videos of me talking about that.
Yeah.
Do you want to lean in a little bit? You're a little bit...
Sure.
Yeah, that's alright. There you go. Get you in. Hello. What else? There's got to be other things.
Okay.
Really, the fact that we're having to think this hard is not ideal. I do like, to be fair, his dynamic with his daughter.
Yeah.
And I do think, what I thought initially was okay, because obviously they do the fake out of, Poppy survives leaving the wish wheel because she was part of the wish. And she survives initially in a zero room. That was a fun little...
I like that twist, but it also zaps.
But then, obviously, she goes away, and I was thinking, right, so the next series, what they could do is Gatwer can stay, and the next series arc revolves around him trying to find Poppy. Kind of a bit in Fallout, where you got to try and find your son. I was thinking a bit
what they were teasing with River Song in series 6.
Yeah. I was thinking, okay, that could be his mission for season 3. He's on the lookout for Poppy. He's going into all these different planets. That's not what's happening.
No.
That's not what's happening.
It's 2006 again.
Oh God! Look, we're beating around the bush. I think we need to
Okay.
Well, okay, we'll address a couple of the elephants in the room. We touched on it earlier. Why was there all the Susan build-up to then not do Susan? The entire episode is about him being like, I finally have a family, guys. I finally have a relative.
And then we don't see the relative.
And then
it's
we
been
don't see the
teasing all
relative. Like,
series.
surely that was meant to be the culmination. Like, it just makes sense. Where was she? She was in Interstellar. She was in Wishworld. She was even in a bit of Reality War a bit.
Yeah.
And what was the in Wishworld? Don't they say like, oh, the oldest lie of the Time Lords or something?
Yeah, the oldest secret, and then she turns up, like,
Is-
she flashes on the screen.
Yeah, was the secret just Omega existing? But we all sort of knew he was.
Yeah, I mean, that
We
was...
knew he was exiled, right?
But actually, how does that line up with anything we've seen of Omega? He was in the antimatter universe, he wasn't exiled.
No, I mean, I can kind of buy that maybe they'd throw him into the Underverse, sure, fine. But like, oh, that's another thing I'll say as a positive. I'm trying to get them all out. The Rani and Mel, I thought that was quite fun.
that was fun.
I'm glad they
fun.
did that.
Some of the lines were quite cliche, but also
They
the
were,
concept was
but
quite fun.
I think Bonnie Langford's delivery
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
salvaged that. The actual venom she had in her voice.
Yeah, the amount of
speaking to the
characters
Rani.
in this episode,
Yeah,
like,
that's
Mel
another
does
thing.
hardly anything.
Why is Rose there?
But why does Rose come back?
Yeah, that's the thing. The Wishworld reality gets reversed very quickly, or at the very least is kind of held at bay very quickly, because the
Yeah.
Doctor basically uses the time windows in the time hotel as a
To-
means to kind of stabilise real time, right? And like bring
Which
back
is-
real
which
time.
is fun. I
It's
like
fine, yeah. I like that as, you know, that's one of those things. I thought for the most part of this series, not all of it now, but for the most part of this series, there was good setup and payoff. You know,
Yeah.
like you had obviously Conrad saying, "Oh, you know,
I'll be back."
yeah, well, yeah, that. But also, have you heard about Belinda yet?
Yeah.
And then obviously that ties into Robot Revolution. You have the Vindicator obviously
Yeah.
building up and stuff. I thought, you know, up until this point, the setup and payoff of that was all fairly good. But then, like, we also get the boss.
Yeah, why was that there? That's like from...
She's like, oh, yeah, by the way, obviously, I'm talking about Anita now. The boss sends his regards. And he's like, okay, target that.
But like, how does the Time Hotel and the Meat have any sort of the same motivations?
No, I don't
any
know.
Sort
And
of
Rogue. Rogue apparently
and
knows
Rogue.
about it. Yeah. I don't know.
Is it gonna
Oh
be...
yeah, they did do that thing towards the beginning, didn't they? With when they were opening all the time doors.
Yeah.
And they were going into old Doctor Who stories. Which I thought,
That was fun.
Yeah, I mean that's the sort of fan service where it's silly,
But it was fun to see.
You know, it's like it's fun. It's fine. I can allow that. I think there's a big elephant in the room. Well, actually, before we get to that big elephant, there's another blonde woman who shows up towards the end that we need to address.
Which woman could you possibly be talking about?
Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
The 13th Doctor, she makes it. I've got to say, I actually thought that scene was quite nice.
I thought it was quite nice, but
You know-
also it was the first thing that I'm like, why was that necessary?
Why is she there?
It's
I know
like-
that they say like, oh, the timelines are all
Yeah.
wonky because of what he's doing, so she's.
I
plucked
get that
out,
in
but,
terms
like-
of the plot reason. I
Yeah.
don't really get it in terms of like, you know, the actual
Well, I think
reason.
what they were going for is it's to show that Shooty's the one who's developed.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to show that he's the one with some emotional maturity because he's like, I love you, Doctor, and she's like, I should tell that to Yaz, and he's like, you don't, by the way. Which, to be fair, good calling her out on that because like she should have.
And also, but like you could say that, but also like it doesn't add much. It's like the first thing
No.
I cut. It's another self-indulgence, like End of Time. It was
Yeah.
End of Time.
It
part
feels
3.
like End of Time plus, because at least End of Time earned, you know, the amount of stuff that it
There's
did.
like 4 series of films.
Yeah, to kind of build up to the ending that it has. Whereas with this, you're like, all right, like, oh, that's another thing. Looms get kind
Looms!
of indirectly.
Oh my god, the Time Lords are infertile,
canonized.
guys.
Yeah, the Time Lords are infertile. I believe as a result of the whatever it's called,
Whatever the Master did.
The Master did. Sorry, there was someone there. Whatever the Master did with the obviously the genetic
The
bomb,
genetic bomb.
the bomb thing that he does. But the Rani survived through technobabble, which fine, you know, she probably will figure out a way.
Can I get onto the weird thing that
Oh,
RTD has
before-
for pregnant women? Like, sorry, for mothers. It's like,
Oh.
like because you got to think. This kind of run odd. It's like as much like they retcon Belinda to have been a mother, put her in a box the entire episode, and then they have another pregnant woman in the episode holding a door.
Yeah.
It just like what?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? This
I mean, like,
just felt
to
icky.
be fair, I mean, the entire era has kind of been about like family and family. So I get it on a
yeah,
thematic
but also
level.
I just don't know the good gender politics of it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It
ju-
is weird. Like, also, did Belinda ever have ambitions of having a child?
No, she was going back for her career. I thought that was
Yeah.
the whole point.
It's like that. I felt a bit Conrad-y, if anything. Like, oh, there we go. You've got a kid now.
Conrad's last wish.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the other thing as well. Obviously, Ruby is the only one to be aware of Poppy's existence after she blips away because, you know, the wish world goes away.
Because the 73 yards.
Which, like, sure. But then, like, obviously he gets what he wants in the end. He gets a
does.
happy life. Which I know that, like, that's her mercifully being like, you know, I wish for you to be happy. I'd have been like, go fuck yourself. You know, that's what I'd have done. I'd be like,
I think it's at least nicer considering how, like, you know.
it's in character. It's in character. But like,
I do think
man.
that was a nice, like, that is the best arc conclusion out of
I
it.
actually think
do
Ruby probably had some of the best stuff of like the regulars.
Yeah,
I'd
Ruby
say-
definitely won this episode.
Yeah, like I feel like we lost.
We lost. We did.
No,
Any of you who had faith out there, you lost.
look, I want to say because obviously I'm quite into this era. You know, you guys will know I've genuinely been
He's
enjoying
literally
this series.
into this
I'm
era.
in this story, and I mean, you know, people have always said, you know, oh, he's a shill, he's being paid off, and all of this. But I've genuinely enjoyed this era. This for me lost me. I'm not going to stop watching the show. I'm not going to stop watching it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stop being invested in like. I'm just going to let it happen. I'm going to be like, sure, okay, that's what we're doing now, right? Which brings us into, I think, the big elephant in the room. Actually, before we do that, I keep skipping around. Omega.
They ruined Omega.
Well, they didn't even ruin him. They barely had him around.
They did the same thing as Sutek.
Yeah.
They retconned him to be
No,
actual.
Sutek got more. Sutek got more screen
did get
time
more
and
screen
more stuff
time.
to do.
But
At least Sutek gets to dust the universe.
That's
with it.
true.
Omega just goes, hello! and then
Bye-bye.
like shooty Ghostbusters him using
No.
with the Vindicator. And also, why does he look like that? I know that they say in the line of dialogue that he wished for godhood, which is true. In the Three Doctors, he does
wish for godhood.
say, I should have been a god. So him going into the Underverse and kind of becoming this god
Also,
sort of makes sense.
I think it was Nick Briggs voicing him, nowhere near as good as Stephen Fry.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing as well. He says he wants to be the god of time in the episode. What's that got to do with being a big zombie bone thing? Like, oh yeah, Mrs. Flood escapes.
Yeah, that's true.
So assuming the show continues after this, wink.
Is the boss Mrs. Flood?
Mrs. Flood's going to come back.
Susan?
That's the other thing. The Rani, as in the Archie
I feel
Punjabi
like I'm
Rani,
insane.
has such a nothingy
Yeah.
exit. You know, I really liked her performance. And for her to go out, oh, Sutek just eats her.
Why did she even exist? Why wasn't it always Mrs. Flood?
Yeah. Why is Susan Triad there? I know that she builds the Zero Room, which I did like.
Couldn't what's her name? The
Rose?
one you were in the scene with.
Ruby. Oh, Shirley.
Shirley. That's the
was
name.
going
of
through all the
Yeah, there
names.
we go. Shirley could have done it. Isn't her whole thing in
She's
sort of the
scientific
tech
advisor,
was,
yeah.
She's supposed to be she could have
Yeah.
done it.
A lot of the characters in this just kind of feel like they're there
Why
because
the fuck is Rose Noble still a thing in
I know.
2025?
a lot of the characters being there just kind of felt like they were there because, oh, it's the end of the era. But it doesn't feel like it should be the end of the era. That's the problem. Obviously, I think that this is heavily being reshot, obviously. This obviously was not the way it was supposed to end. Let's get into...
Shooty's just too good for this now.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, poor Shooty, man.
Shooty
That's
is
all
evolved
I have to
past
say.
Doctor Who, and maybe we should as well.
I'm not going to go that far, you know. I know you're more negative than me. Well, I say I'm not happy about this episode either, but I'm willing to. Look, I'm in a codependent relationship with this show at this point. I will be there no matter what. However, as I said, I'm not going to be getting invested in and I just don't think because I liked this era. I liked Shooting. I thought he had some great episodes this year. Lux, The Well, Story in the Engine. You know, even Lucky Day, which I know.
And I
some
feel
people-
a fool for liking those episodes.
Yeah, I was like, it just feels like such a waste of what is a rising talent in the industry.
He was such a get.
He was, and I feel like now, as a result of A, his tenure being so short, and B, who he turns into, he's gonna feel like it's gonna be a footnote on his resume, and I think that sucks.
And having like the first like black queer Doctor, both opened by David Tennant and ended by Billy Piper.
Yeah, the optics of it
is lovely,
great,
isn't it?
The optics are not. I mean, that was a funny line as well that 13 gives.
Yeah.
Or 15 gives 213. I was half expecting the other one. He's always here.
But he's self-aware but still does it. What are we doing?
Yeah, like the thing is, that's the thing about Russell. He does show a level of self-awareness, but then I'm also like, if you had any self-awareness, you wouldn't do some of the things
that you
you'd be doing. Like, let's get into it. So Ncuti decides to try and bring back Poppy into the real world. Basically uses his regeneration to bring her back to life, which I don't actually mind as a sacrifice reason for a Doctor to go, okay? Like, obviously I quite like that even though she comes back, she's a human, so Time Lord's still gone, although we're probably still going to be going, I'm the last of the Time Lords, you know? So we're still doing that, I guess. But I mean, I did like the sacrifice of, okay, at least he loses something, I guess. But then, like, also, obviously, what that leads to as a byproduct is, guys, and spoiler alert, you've probably all seen it, Billy Piper regenerating from Ncuti at the end. Oh, and also there's that really weird reference to joy before that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, this run of my life has been so full of joy, and I'm never alone without you, joy. And I'm like, what are we doing? This is not, you know, this is not earned.
Although the regeneration in the end looks shit, I will say the first part of it looked quite nice. The bit when he is actually sacrificing himself and he's bursting from him,
that looks cool.
and then like the glass of reality shatters, and then he
that was
ends
cool.
up in the garden.
And I also
that
liked
was cool.
Him like blowing out the regeneration. No, not yet. It reminded me a bit of Capaldi putting his hands in the snow to stop the energy. So that was fun, but like part of me was just like, just hold it off for another season, man. You know,
David, stick to the 3-series rule.
I was like, yeah, no, we all were saying, I hope Ncuti, you know, breaks the 3-series rule.
And the monkey paw curled.
He did, guys. Not in the way I wanted, that's for sure. I was looking online as well, and he only barely has more like minutes of screen time than Eccleston, which is mad. And like less than all other New Who Doctors post Eccleston. And I believe outside of Eccleston, the third, because Paul began.
Yeah.
I guess if you're talking actors, because I think obviously if you count David Tennant as like one actor, he obviously has the most of New Who, I think, obviously, which they do joke about. Is there anything else?
What have we not covered?
The thing is, it's not a reflection, that's what I want to say. It's not a reflection on Billy Piper herself.
Yeah.
I think Billy Piper's a great actress. I think Billy Piper's great. But there has to be a point where it's like, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing? You know, like, there has to be a point where we go, I said it to you earlier when we were eating, and you agree, it's their Doctor Doom RDJ moment. That's what it is. Because, like, I know people will say that was Tennant, but at least there's like a precedent for the Doctors coming back for anniversaries, right? Yeah. So you can kind of excuse it. You're like, okay, it's a one-off anniversary event thing. For the very next Doctor after that event to be Billy Piper is crazy. I love how you keep peering him, just like peering him with like
I'm getting facial reactions.
Yeah. But for the very next Doctor to be Billy Piper, well, actually, I say that they don't actually credit her as the Doctor.
But even if it's fan wanky bullshit, it's clickbait. It's just clickbait.
Yeah.
We're generating content, guys.
Oh, look, I really enjoyed most of the series. I did, and I did enjoy a lot of this era. And I'm glad it exists for the simple fact that it gave me some stories that I really liked.
I'm glad that it existed for Gatwa.
It's been some of the stuff that I've enjoyed the most in a while. But I will say, and you know, this doesn't come lightly, this might be the worst Regeneration story. I think Power was better than this.
Both the worst Regeneration stories have the Ranian.
Yeah, I think Power was better than this. I think, what's it called? Twice Upon a Time, which I've never been a huge fan of either, was better than this. Like, it just, you can so clearly tell that wasn't the ending that they wanted to do. You could so clearly tell that
Ncuti was better.
Ncuti was like, I'm done waiting, I'm just going to film a bit and leave. And like, it feels like that. It feels
Yeah.
so, you know, the problem is it doesn't feel like an era. It just
doesn't.
feels like a blip, kind of like the 60th already kind of was a blip, a longer blip. And I do love Gatwa, and I will defend 15. That I do think he's a good incarnation. Although, having said that, a lot of his like character development, I guess,
Has now stopped.
we just can't follow up on any of that.
Because like you had the cool moments, as I was saying, like as much as there's dodgy optics around Interstellar Song Contest, they were clearly from like the behind the scenes and all that saying that that Ncuti is indulging in his badder side, and that seemed to be like what they were
That's
saying
what
up
they're
Susan
building
is the thing to
towards.
mitigate
That's
it.
what they're building
and there's
towards.
something building here. Like they said that in interviews and such, his darker side is coming out. Like we're gonna go somewhere, and then no, can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. He's gone.
Instead, we have Rose Tyler.
And like I think they said like, oh, you know, to I think I was reading a bit of the snippet of the interview where they announced it because they did a press release for this, and they were like, oh, you know, it's nice to welcome Billy back to the TARDIS one more time. So I don't know whether that means.
It's like, is this like another Tennant situation? Are we doing like one-off?
Yeah,
Doctor thing?
The thing is, no matter how good the story is, like even if they do some good stories with her, which they may well do, because there has been some good ones in this era. I'm not going to say that this era is completely devoid of any like good stuff in it, because I do think there is. But no matter how good the story is, it's still fundamentally, I can't escape the feeling that
self-indulgence.
Well, that, but also we're turning the Doctor into a bit of a gimmick character, a bit of like a party trick character where it's like, oh, who's going to play them now? But not in like a tabloidy way, but like we're like, I just feel like in a few years' time, as a result of this now, people are going to be like, oh, well, why can't Freema Agyeman or Jenna Coleman or, you know, anyone, or, you know, Katie Manning or you know, whoever be the Doctor.
And even if you're not doing that to the character of the Doctor, you're doing that to the process of regeneration, which used to be how the show actually continues.
Well, actually, the one thing I thought with them doing the Loom thing is they do say with Bi-Generation,
it's a way of continuing.
It's the way of them, which is what I kind of thought. I was like, I did say in my theory video, that theory was wrong, by the way. My theory was the Rani would be the one that kind of came up with it. But obviously, it being a survival instinct, I was kind of right, which is fine. Yeah, sure. Obviously, yeah, they do make the Time Lords infertile, so there's going to be no more
looms.
Yeah, looms. Yeah, man. I don't know how to. I will continue. I will always love this show, and I've got an unhealthy attachment to this show. I will always watch it
at this point.
And I'm not potentially, and I'm not going to say that this era didn't give me some stories I really liked.
There was some merit to it.
There was some good stuff, but man, they're going to have to do something incredible to try and justify that. And even then, it just sort of screams, "Hey Disney, look, please." Look at what we've done. This is gonna get so many like views on TikTok.
Yeah.
Please, Disney, please give us another go. It's like, how many times can we expect the show to do something like this before A, it gets stale, and B, like audiences just get fed up of it? Like, it just sort of feels like Doctor Who exists more. I remember that Stu Bagpool video. Doctor Who exists more as like a news item than as a show. And that's kind of what it feels like. Like, don't get me wrong, I will talk about Billy Piper being the Doctor a lot. That's my job. Of course I will. And I will talk about all the little things that have happened in this video going forward, no doubt.
Also,
but like,
Bagful predicting the multi-Rani special was quite funny.
That was funny, yes. Yeah, Stuart is permanently, his wisdom knows no bounds. Is there anything else? I just want to say, I feel that Ncuti deserved better than this as an exit, and I think he will go down as one of the most underutilized Doctor castings, alongside, ironically, Joe Martin. It's not great, is it?
No.
The two of the least prevalent Doctors in terms of screen time are the two non-white ones. Do you know what?
We're going to look back at this and just say, like, how much he was wasted.
Yeah, and that sucks, because I like him.
He was great.
Also, I want to say as well, Belinda, you touched on her being a mum, kind of, like, that's not really been in her character at all. I know that they retcon it so that, like, she's always been saying that. But, like, her development got completely...
Oh my god, it seems so out of character, that whole bit when she's, like, gushing about, on to the next adventure bit, because she was never like that.
No. I mean, I still have. I would be fascinated to know the behind the scenes of this series, because it's so obvious that these things haven't gone to plan. I'm a firm believer of the conspiracy theory that Ruby was meant to be a 2-series.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because she also gets the big emotional climax bit of being like, you've forgotten your daughter.
Which would have made so much sense if it was Ruby's daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so obvious to me that like Belinda was a last minute fix, but then Billy also feels like a last minute fix because shooting Gatwa left. But honestly, I think I would have preferred they just don't show another face, and when they
Leave it open.
they leave it open, take some time, reevaluate, get a new doctor in if you need to, sort out whatever you're going to sort out with Disney or another partner or however you're going to do it. Just come back in a couple of years, because that to me, obviously, they're going to have to follow up on it, because otherwise the audience is going to be like, well, why did you do that? As in, like, the normal audience, like, why is Billie Piper it? Isn't she the last Doctor? Like, the thing is, I know a lot of people will say, I just want the show to end and stuff, and like, I'm done, and I get it, but like, you can't end it on that, I wouldn't anyway.
I wouldn't, but also if it went away for a bit now and then came back with as fresh a face as it did in 2005, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, I mean, no, but it's even if they do that though, it's always going to like be people will be like, well, why was Billie Piper there?
True.
That's going to be the thing for the
But also, Big Finish. We love stories.
That's very true. Oh, I bet Nick Briggs was frothing at the mouth. 13 metre 15.
Oh my god, yeah, they're just about to start the series.
Yeah, 13 metre 15. Billie Piper's a doctor now.
She's about to come back on Big Finish.
She can put her convention prices up, She can double her convention fees as a result of being Doctor Who now. Yeah, I hate being this negative, I really do, especially out of series that I otherwise enjoyed.
Yeah.
But this just wasn't it for me, man. And I get the feeling that this is going to be... I've seen some people in my replies be like, oh, I really like this one, and power to you. If you liked that twist, if you liked that reveal, and if you liked the stuff that happened in this, fair enough, power to you. But for me, I think Gatwa deserved more. I think it just kind of feels like, that joke that line of dialogue, because I saw them replaying clips today, because it was like a new episode day, and they do those live streams. The Doctor says, oh, this is an old TARDIS made up of hopes and wishes and memories and all the other... That's what the show feels like at this point. It feels like it exists purely out of goodwill and faith and the fact that we're here. Yeah. And I will always be here. I love this show. But that just did not land for me. And I will be talking more about why I don't like it both narratively and optically. But I think that's going to wrap it up.
That's about it.
That's gonna wrap it up. But thank you all for watching. Yeah, you bought a Sonic. I bet you regret that now. There you go. Never going to see that Sonic again.
No, he's gone.
Silver lining, don't you?
I think I bought it actually on time.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, character options doesn't have they don't have to bother with making any more 50 copies now. So yeah, but thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video if you did enjoy it. I'm sorry if the sound was awful, but we were in a Carl's Jr., so what were you really expecting? Thank you all, and I'll see you in a bit.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.